Hello and welcome to this week's singing vlog, singing tips, singing whatever you want to call it. Anyway, we are going to just talk about how much posture is important in singing, and I've just got some notes here and they're falling off the piano, so I'm going to put them on the computer here. So I've got 5 different ways that you can actually look at your head and neck posture today. And the reason why it's so important is that many times one of the biggest subtle problems that affect our tone, our tension, is our head and neck alignment and posture. Now, if you're me, most people will say, oh, I know I've got terrible posture. Well, the interesting thing about that is if you do have bad standing posture, or that you are seated every day at work, and again, for me at the piano, or for me doing a computer work in any way, shape or form, it's so easy to start slouching. The shoulders roll over, the neck comes up, and we are sort of standing and sitting in incredibly bad posture for our whole back alignment, let alone singing. So I've got a couple of things that you can use today to start to maybe stretch those muscles out, pull them in a better direction, and hopefully help you to see a very slight difference in the way that your tone is coming out, or the way that you're articulating your sound. And it's all down to an underlying postural issue. So the first thing that we need to know is that proper head and neck alignment, that is not even including our back muscles, anchor muscles in the shoulders, down into the intercostal muscles, or even into the lower abdominals. The whole body is a supportive structure in singing, and we simply don't really pay that much attention to it. If you happen to play an instrument, e.g. a guitar, and you are, you've got the guitar and you are on the stage and you've got a microphone in front of you, it's like I've got a gin and tonic, but if you've got a microphone in front of you, you will probably be pulling your head forward at the same time. That can cause us immense problems with strain, tone, and even pitch. So let's dive in. Okay, so the first thing is to realise that actually your head and neck posture and alignment can be different if you're singing different styles of music. For example, number 1, classical singers can actually afford to drop their chin very slightly. So first of all, let's do a neutral posture, okay? So a neutral posture is if you I've put the wrong top on here, but if you put your 2 thumbs kind of on your bow, on your clavicle, and then your fingers under your ears, okay? And if you actually just stretch up in between, you will probably feel all your back muscles really stretch, especially if you're used to slouching. So first of all, you're going to just do a little bit of a stretch into that and feel that. And actually just realise that if you're in that position now, just take those fingers, as it were, under there, and just pull up from the back of the head slightly, just pulling up, okay? And you probably feel the stretch in the back of your spine. In that position, you can just kind of move around and just feel that softness a little bit, and how much the head often turns further left, further right, when we're just lifting up into the back, just behind the back of the ears. And if you can feel all that pull down the back, that's a clear indication that we've got slouching shoulders and we've got some muscles that are over correcting versus others. So if you're in that normal sort of position, okay, for singing, and you can feel that stretch down the back of your spine, if you're a classical singer, you can actually afford to sing and drop your chin very slightly. The reason is this actually lowers the larynx in the voice box, which is typically a kind of classical sound, where it's kind of like a darker or a lower sound. And if I'm going like this, if I'm going, you can hear that more classical type of sound. So you could tell the difference straight away when the chin is slightly lower, the neck is slightly longer for classical music. But if you're doing pop or contemporary, you can actually, if we go back to our neutral posture, and then you can actually afford to just lift the head very slightly. Now, I'm going to say a caveat here, because when you lift the head in pop music, the first thing that tends to happen, if I go to the side here, is you can see the chest comes forward, the neck is taking a lot of strain, the back of the neck is really crooked, okay? a real kind of crooked feeling. And I've actually collapsed all around my abdominal wall. So the most likely thing that's going to happen if singers are doing that for pop and contemporary is that they're going to feel an enormous amount of strain here, going to feel very tight tummies, and they're going to feel a lot of extra pressure and constriction around the laryngeal area and into the vocal folds and into the swallowing muscles. And that's going to cause you to feel very tight and constricted in your tone. So where does the pop or the contemporary singer position their neck, head? And remember, we're not rigid here. It's not that we're standing very rigid. We're actually being quite flexible. So if we go back to our neutral posture, and you can see, as I'm doing this video for you, I can kind of see myself in the video. So I can really tell where that posture is. So a clear way that you can do this is in front of a mirror. So get a mirror when you're singing. Put it in front of you. The car is not always the right one to do it in, because you can't see what you're doing. And if you look at the position in the car when you're doing those last minute warm-ups to go to somewhere and you're singing loud to the radio, it's not going to help you really get a handle on where your posture is. So in this position, if you look at where the contemporary singer can be, they can be slightly chin up, not right up and not out. And it's that outward posture where the jaw is shutting out that becomes most troublesome. All the tension kind of comes into the back of the tongue. We find it hard to articulate sound. The tone gets constricted. Also, if you're doing stronger upper middle singing and belt, you're actually going to want to be in this slightly, what we call anchored or sort of raised back position, where you actually feel that the top of the spine, the whole spine is a little bit longer. You can feel the length of the spine. And in this position, if I actually try and sing contemporary music in this position, just a little bit more, not up here, be careful, be careful, be careful. I'm here. Ma, 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 ma. Can you hear the difference? It's like, it's so much easier now. I'm going to do that same phrase, and I'm going to do all of the bad postures so you can hear the difference, okay? So first of all, I'm going to raise my chin even higher, or I see a lot of people kind of going for the top note in the jaw. Well, go to the side so you can see it. Ma, 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 ma. Can you hear the difference straight away? I can feel my tummy tightening. I can feel the constriction as the jaw's going forward. Then we start thinking that we can't sing higher notes. How do I sing higher? Not realizing that the very thing that is actually constricting us is not the note, and it's not our talent. It's our setup, it's our posture, it's our understanding of how sound works and flows through the body, and the ability to actually put the body in a position to enable that sound to actually vibrate and resonate more freely. So let's try that again. So I'm going to do what a lot of singers do. We're going to do the collapsed guitar position, okay? So I might have a guitar here, kind of here. Ma, 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 ma. You see that strain. Now let's go back to where we were. Okay, so I'll go to the side. Ma, 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 ma. So yes, the chin is raising, but so is the neck, and so are the back muscles. So we're doing what we call anchoring, and I'll do a particular video for you on using these back muscles. But you can see just by standing here and actually leaning a little bit, just growing a little bit of an inch taller as I do that, and not collapsing, it makes this, it actually keeps the whole vocal tract and the resonance area free for that sound to keep vibrating as I'm singing. So I encourage you to try that out. So the third thing, and I'd mentioned it earlier, so the first thing is about actually lengthening the back of the neck, okay? And actually being in that position, slightly lower if you're singing classical music, because when you're singing classical music, you're wanting to actually create a lot more kind of space on the inside of your mouth to have more of those top notes resonate a little bit more. So it's a particular position. And again, it's very long in the neck. There's nothing constricting the sound waves from resonating and vibrating and amplifying. And in the pop, I'm wanting to really just be a little bit more. But again, I'm not doing that. There's no constriction. There's nothing that's collapsed in the tummy area. So the third thing is using the mirror. Or, as I'm doing, putting a video of yourself and standing there and then just taking a video of yourself actually singing and watching when you're doing certain phrases. What are you doing with your head and your neck? What's going on as you're singing? As you go to a top note, do you pull your chin around and go forward? Do you suddenly go into that direction? Do you tighten the shoulders? What's happening in certain phrases when you sing? Just getting some awareness around that, first of all, can be really insightful and provide the place for you to start to change or to look into or to work with somebody on these habits. Now, can you see your own bad habits? Not unless you're using a mirror. 2 ways of using a mirror. Number 1, you can physically put the mirror in front of you and start to see what's going on. If you then can see what you need to change, brilliant, go change it. If you suddenly find that it kind of like the way that you feel your tone still doesn't feel it works for you, or it throws up other problems, then you need a vocal coach. You need to reach out, or to actually, make a move to book a session or to send a video in order to actually, get some correction so that not everything that there's so much on YouTube, there's so much out there that if you can pick through it, it's like we're on information overload. If you can pick through YouTube, for sure, right? So here's the thing about being on information overload. Okay, so information overload is where we can Google anything we need in the whole world. We can actually Google it. But that doesn't mean that you're going to find it easily, that you know what to sift through, that you know what's right for you, and that you also understand what's being said really to implement it. And that's where coaching and help can be a benefit. You don't have to do it long term. You actually, sometimes having a goal, putting it in place for a certain amount of time, overcoming one challenge, getting a goal put in place is a great way of actually sort of segmenting a little mini challenge or a project for you, and then getting better at it, and then working out what you want to do from there. There's such a belief that either a vocal coach is going to completely destroy your style. Where did that come from? Really? No, nobody's going to make you sing these days like a classical singer, unless you want to be a classical singer. And at the same time, because it's so easy these days to go out there on an open mic on stage and do an okay job, that does not mean that you are fulfilling your full potential, or that you have a plan in place that is really going to move you forward to get those things that you want to do out into the world, whether it's songwriting, performing, auditions, improvising, learning more skill, teaching, whatever it is that you want to do with your voice, with your singing, even if it's go and join a choir and not lose your voice after every rehearsal because you're stuck in sopranos singing really, really high all the time and you don't quite know what to do with your breathing. There are so many ways that you can actually get to the standards that you want to go to. We had the mini series before talking about confidence, competence, mastery, artistry. You'll know in your heart of hearts which is the place that you particularly want to go to. And the most important thing is to actually start where you are and take one project that you want to work on your voice to get better at doing, and then to work that, and then after that to reflect on it and decide where the next thing is from there. It is not some long gym membership ad infinitum. It doesn't work best that way. If you can work with somebody on a specific thing that you wanted to get better at doing, then you will suddenly find your feet and your plan and the direction that you want to go. So I'm just throwing that in there because that is a huge, important part of actually moving forward with your singing. So the final thing is actually looking at the posture, okay, and putting that inventory of your posture. So when you're standing up to sing, notice a couple of things. Have you got your kind of feet hip width apart? Are they really tight together? Are you standing like this when you sing, and locking your knees and locking your back? The head and the head needs to be over the shoulders, not jutting forward, okay, or pulled back. because we're kind of trying to support or posture that. And the third thing, over the shoulders. Fourth thing, shoulders relaxed, so that when your arms are hanging loose, that actually you can feel that there is almost like a diamond of support into the tummy and down. If you feel you're collapsing over, that will affect your voice and it will affect your neck and head alignment. And the final one is, that's right, it does, when you've got your correct posture, it does not inhibit where the larynx production and the vibration and how the sound is being produced. So there's a couple of meaty things in there for you to try today on head and neck alignment, and also a little bit of a kind of nudge that if you're struggling in an area, that actually being able to have somebody feed back on that for you so that you know exactly where to go next with that, whether it's a particular goal setting for a project, whether it's a particular head and neck alignment, so that you, because you can't see your own nose on your own face, and to take that first step, or to take a step back into the game when you've been out there doing it on your own, and that you actually sometimes need somebody to help recorrect that slightly in order for you to go and do the next thing that you need to do. So my encouragement is look onto posture, okay? Use a mirror, whether it's a vocal coach, whether it's your own mirror, use a mirror. And the third thing is actually take an assessment of that posture and then see what you need to be, what's going on, and then you can actually make a plan in order to recorrect that and to test out your music or your performances with recorrecting all of those things. And you will notice a big difference in your singing, and you'll realize, number one, that you are the instrument, and actually looking at that instrument, taking care of that instrument, looking at how that instrument works and your posture, it's going to make a big, big difference. And if you are an office-based person, or if you find that you have bad posture, it's going to help you for the long term. So that's me over and out for this session, and I will speak to you soon. Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts.